Welcome everybody, welcome to the new session of class 9th. We are going to study the Java programmings here. As we have studied in the class 8, this session is there to repolish and remember, have a quick glance towards how we used to write the Java programs. Some important tips for the writing of a Java program. A program must contain a class, then a class name, a void main function. In the parameter you should place the variables with the specified data types, what type of values it is going to contain. If it is going to contain an integer data type, so int has to be used. If it is going to contain a decimal values, then we used to use a double data type there. If you are going to write a program with the characters, and just like A, B, C, D, these are called as the characters. In this characters, char data type was used. As the session continues, as we will proceed and move further, we will go through the different data types, all the 8 primitive data types of the Java. We are going to use it. Now we will have a quick glance towards how to write a program and what are the requirements of the program. The data, the variables, how to choose the variables, what should be the variable names, how will you specify the data type to it, when int is to be used, when double is to be used, everything. We will have a quick look towards it so that you recollect the memories and learn remember how we had written the program in class 8. The same things I will continue from the very beginning. So that we remember the things and we then only we can move ahead with those programs. We will move ahead with the different types of programs in the Java. Remember one thing: the variable, data type, and everything should be written in a small letters. Only in system.out.println the S should be capital. Curly braces, you should remember, curly braces should be there. As many curly braces you are opening, that many has to be closed in. In class, one curly braces open. In void main, one curly braces open. At the last, 2 curly braces get closed, one for the method and another one for the class. Semicolons you have to put in every statement, in the declaration statement, at the initialization statements, in the formulas, the logic where you are implementing it, when you are printing, then the semicolons are to be used. Where the semicolons are not used, remember where the semicolon are not used. I am repeating it again and again. When you write a class and class name, no semicolon is required. When you write a void main, after void main, no semicolons are required. You should be very much specific and very much clear about this thing, because if you put a semicolon, the semicolon is a terminating statement. Immediately you will get a compile time error and your program will not execute. So we must be very specific, we must be very careful while we are writing a program. These are the silly careless mistakes which the student do commit in writing the programs. So we are going to begin with the programs which you are familiar and already we have solved it. I would try so that you can recollect those ideas back. Now we will try to write a programs. Now, what are the basic structure for writing a program? What should be the contents of your program, of how the programs are written? Now, in the first line, you must specify a class, and then there should be a class name. A class name, this name should be related to the topic what you are doing. Suppose we are trying to find out the force, then the class name should be force. If you are trying to find the area and perimeter of a rectangle, then we should give it as a class name as a rectangle. If you are finding the area and circumference of a circle, then we need to write there a circle, because with this name only one can understand what you are going to do with it. Then the second line, class must open. This is an opening curly braces, that is class begins. that specifies what? It specifies to the compiler. Compiler acknowledges this, that my class has started. Then void main is written. Now void main, this is a parenthesis. This is a parenthesis where you need to write all those input variables which you are going to take as an input, whose values you are going to take it, and is where input variables are written. Then number 4, curly braces must be opened, and this specifies. Now here main begins. Main must begin in Java, because from the main only Java begins its execution, from the main method only. There can be different methods, but the execution always begins. The compiler starts execution from the main method only. So main method must be open. Then at the number 5, you must there must be variable declarations. Now which type of variables should be declared here? Now basically the variables which you are on which you are going to calculate the values. So calculations, calculative variables which you are going to do for the calculations. Now the variable which is going to store your calculation, it must be initialized. This line is called as the variable initialization. This is a variable initialization area. Then at the 7th number, we put on the logics. Logic is the formula which you are going to implement, the formula or formulas which you are going to implement, in your program, so that it can be calculated. Now after this, you need to display. Display means to print the value. Value here, what I mean with the value? Value means the output, what you are getting the output with a message. Remember, with the message we are going to print it out now here. Alright, and then 9, you need to close the main. Main closes here, main closes. And then number 10, class closes. The class closes here. So for example, let's begin with the same question. If suppose wap to input 2 different number and find their sum. Now we need to input 2 different number and find their sum. For solving this, what should you keep in your mind? There must be a plan. There should be a plan to solve a program. Every programmer should have a plan for solving a program. In the back of the mind, they should keep the things ready. What they have to do, how it should be written. It should be kept in the back of your. It should be kept in your back of your mind. What has to be written and how to solve the program. Now you are getting a tip from the question only. We have to input 2 different variables and find their sum. So different variables. Let my 2 different variables be A and B. All right. And this and the third variable is sum. So for now let me go through another question. Then we will be coming back to it. And so to make the things for the new students, to make the things easier, we have to input mass and acceleration to calculate force. Now yeah, how many variables are there? Now 3 variables are there. 3 variables. What are those 3 variables? First is mass, second one is acceleration, and third one is force. These are the 3 variables. So there how many variables we got from the question? There are the 3 variables. First thing we got it. Then secondly, what we should know, how to use those variables and what should be the name of the variables. So always try to have the first name, first character. Always use the first character as the name. For mass M, acceleration A, force F. If suppose acceleration is the acceleration, if suppose the 2 variables, you cannot have 2 variables with the same name. You can never have 2 variables with the same names. Always remember this. You cannot have 2 variables with the same name. And because Java does not allows you redundancy, duplication is not allowed in the variables. They should be always unique. So if suppose such a case appears, so you can include the first 2 characters so that there becomes a difference to it. Now the variable names, how you get a variable names? Now the variable names are M, A and F. These are M, A and F are my variable names. And thirdly, what type of data they can use, what type of data data or the value they can store it. So the data they can store generally for the whole numbers. When you are trying to use the whole numbers when I mean 9, 19, 39 or anything, then we use int. But when we want to use our decimal values, then decimal values means 9.3134, 5.679, 3.5. Then you can use either a double or float. But we will be using it as a double because of its accuracy. One thing is accuracy, and second thing you remember, by default all the decimal values are treated as a double in Java. So better to use a double data type. Then the fourth problem is, okay fine, we had 3 variables. The variable names are M, A and F. We have decided what values we can use in. Now so because the acceleration, mass and force is there, so we are going to use our double as our data types. But which variable to be written where? Where I should write those variables? How I should use it? Where I should use it? Now from the question you will get a hint. What is there? Input, mass and acceleration. Here you can classify your variables by this. You have to implement your brain here now, that which is my input variable and which I had to calculate. So in this question it is directly been mentioned mass and acceleration. So to input, you can know what I had to input. I had to input M and A. Which I had to calculate? I had to calculate the force. Now where should I write this mass and acceleration? Now mass and acceleration are always written in void main bracket. These are written in void main bracket. Look here, input variables. And where this calculative variables are written, they are written below void main curly braces. Void main curly braces. That is the variable declaration. Here it is written. Now we will follow those things. We are going to follow this thing to write a program. Now first, what in the first line, what the program we are going to write a program. Now first, your program should contain a class. So here you are going to write a class. Remember, class should be written in a small letters. All right. Now what we are doing here, we are going to calculate a force. So the class name is force. Am I making a sense to you all? Then the second line, curly braces must be there. Then in the third line, void main. Void should be in small letters. Void main. Now here in the bracket of a void main, what you have to write here? Input variables. What you have to input? Mass and accelerations. Mass and acceleration you have to input. So, and we have decided of a data type double. So double m comma double a, bracket closes, no semicolon here please. Then curly braces closes, opens, void main opens here. Then fifth line is variable declaration. What to be declared here? The variable which you are going to perform the calculation, and where it is to be, which one is to be calculated? Now force has to be calculated, is it? So where it should be written? It should be written below void main curly braces. So I am going to declare this so that the double f. Now the compiler comes to know that f is a variable which is going to store a value after the calculation. Now the next line is variable initialization. You go to petrol pumps. In the petrol pumps, everything the meter begins with a 00. Is it? For the double, the default value is 0.0. So f must begin with 0.0. F must begin with the 0.0. All right. Then the next step is logic implementation. That means a formula f equals to m into a. F equals to m into a. Mass into acceleration, you get a force. So f equals to m into a. You are not going to write their mass, you are not going to use an acceleration, because mass and acceleration is not declared. Only m and a is declared. So m is the representative for the mass and a is the representative for the acceleration. So you don't need to write their mass and acceleration. Whatever the variable you have declared, you have to use the same variable. Here I have declared a small a, small m, small a, small f. So I must use small m and small a and small f only. I cannot write then capital A and capital M, because for computer capital A is different and small a is different. For humans this is both, they are same. We call it as an A. You are going to read it as an A. Capital A also you are going to read it as an A, but computer read it as different. That is an uppercase character and it is a lowercase character. The ASCII value changes. So remember, the case I had already said in the beginning of the session, everything must be written in small letters except system.out.println s. S should be written in capital. Rest everything should be written in small letter. So you have get practice of writing everything in small letters only. Now we are going to print it. So system, now look here, S capital, dot out small, print ln, there should not be any space, print ln, print line, new line. Now get the message, force is, now this will get printed. Anything written in double quotes get printed as it is, plus f. So now here f, this plus f means with this message you are adding the value. This will show a message along with the value. Now close the main and then close the class. Hope so. Both the cases are same. This is how we are going to write it. Now the previous question which I had left it out, we have to input two different number and find their sum. So we are going to find a sum. So class, this is a question number 2, this is question number 1. Now I am printing it this is, let be the question number 2, this is be question number 1. So class sum, what you are going to find a sum, curly braces, start second line, then void main. So we are going to use the numbers. So this time we are going to use a whole numbers. So we will be using as an int data type here. int a comma int b, curly braces start. Now which you need to calculate sum, so int s, s stands for the sum and s value is 0. In integers the default value is 0, not 0.0. So again the formula is equals to a plus b. You have calculated it, print it out now. System dot out dot print ln, the sum is plus s. Now close. Now we go through the third question. What I had said, this question is to clear you and to clarify that, clarify your doubt, whether when we have same type of variables, then how to use it. Now web to input 3 different number to calculate their sum and average. So what are the variables? A, B and C are my 3 variables. I need to calculate sum S. Now average A. Now look here, A and A. This A for the values and this A is for the average. So there is no uniqueness here. So for this average I am going to use it as an AV. This is what I was discussing. Now let's write down this question. Class average, curly braces start, void main int a, int b and int c. Int then space a, int space b, int space c. I need to find the sum, so int s for the sum, but the average is always in decimal, so we are going to use as a double AV. So s equals to 0 and AV equals to 0.0. S equals to a plus b plus c, AV equals to sum upon 3.0. Sum upon 3.0. Then print it out. System dot out dot print ln, sum is plus s. System dot out dot print ln, average is plus AV. Main closes, class closes. Are you getting it? These are the 3 programs. This is for the first day. This is all for the first day. Thank you very much.